Hey, this is Tony Soprano, and you're listening to Jersey Boyz Podcast with your hosts, Dave Sturchio and the Ernst Boys. I mean, I could give a shit about the Cowboys. We're in New Jersey. These guys got balls being Cowboys fans in Jersey. Anyways, enjoy. Or whatever.
How about this, Cowboys?
What's going on, Cowboys Nation? How is everybody doing out there? This is Dave Sturchio of the Jersey Boyz Podcast, or as right now, it's Jersey Boy Podcast. It is just me right now, awaiting the arrival of one Grinch, Keith Ernst, and of course, Brett's still on his media tour with his brand new special out. Be sure to check that out. It's a great special. Very, very funny stuff. Well produced as well. It is, listen, it's not the greatest time to be a Dallas Cowboys fan right now, as everybody knows that. The wheels have not necessarily fallen off completely. However, looks a little bleak right now. Another loss to the San Francisco 49ers. It seems like they have our number for at least the last, 3 years, 4 years. Listen, the Cowboys held the 49ers to 6 points in the first half, right? And so we're all looking at this like, okay, they're playing a little better. This might work out. We might actually be in this game. And I've always said that as the recipe for the Dallas Cowboys is to get up on a team, because I feel like if you don't, then you're going to find yourself in a very hard situation, meaning you got to rely on Dak Prescott to go out there and play Superman. And I think that's the biggest thing right now with Dak Prescott is that we as a fan base are expecting way too much. And I think he might even be expecting too much of himself, if that makes any sense. Obviously he's the highest paid quarterback, highest paid player in the NFL right now. So of course, here comes the pressure that comes with that. But sometimes, and Dak will be the first one to tell you, pressure is privilege, all the cliches you want to hear, prove himself right, all that, right? All that stuff is fine and dandy. And I think that for motivation and for positivity and hope for the fan base, then you want to hear stuff like that out of your quarterback. You do. But the problem is this past Sunday, Dak was, in fact, the problem. And I don't like saying that. It doesn't make me feel good to say that. I'm a big Dak Prescott guy. We all are on this podcast. The only thing that we've ever shown, trepidation to would be maybe the contract earlier, like the last contract. I believe Brett wasn't in favor of that because he thought the money was going to be wrong. And even in this one, you got to sign your quarterback. You got to get your franchise quarterback out there. So we did just that. And Dak Prescott was, in fact, the reason, I believe, was the reason for this loss on Sunday night. Now, look, again, you're dealing with a significant amount of injuries on the defensive front, significant amount of injuries on the defensive backfield, you would think. Even the secondary is dealing with some shit. We thought after the bye we would get Micah Parsons back. We thought after the bye we would get DeRon Bland back. None of that happened. We still trotted out guys like Golston playing edge rusher. Wheat was out there playing edge. And, of course, you're dealing with a smorgasbord of corners that are trying to fill the role because you have Trayvon Diggs and you have Jordan Lewis, and Jordan Lewis is more a slot guy. So that's, from the outside, it's tough. It's been tough sledding. And all of a sudden the 49ers come in and they're a little hampered, right? They got, Brandon Ayuk, unfortunately, tore his ACL. He's out for the year. Jennings missed another week. So they were hampered as well. And CMC hasn't seen the field yet, which goes down in history as probably the worst number one overall pick in any fantasy, because now you're 8 weeks in, you haven't had your guy. I think, right? I don't think he played at all. And if he did, he wasn't effective, but I don't think he saw the field yet, it was a preseason thing. But what I will say is the 49ers had their fair share of injuries, but they had guys to step up, Ricky Percival or whatever the hell his name is, crazy story to start his career with the 49ers. He was shot trying to, save some kind of robbery. And then he comes back 8 weeks later, and all of a sudden, he's balling out against the Cowboys. Did you expect anything less? That is Cowboys-esque for them to let some rookie go nuts. Their running game without CMC was Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason gets banged up, and oh, by the way, here comes Eddie Guerrero, right? I don't know his name off the top of my head, but I believe he was a 4th round or 5th round pick. But it didn't matter, right? I mean, I think the most alarming thing, and a lot of people are making mention of this, is obviously the Mozzie Smith thing. Defensive tackle to us has not been our friend. This goes back to a previous regime where I forget the guy's name off the top of my head. He just wasn't any good either. He was an experiment, really, and it just didn't work out well. And now you have Mozzie Smith, and when Mozzie Smith was being introduced on Sunday Night Football, it shows the PFF, the Pro Football Focus rankings on the bottom, and it said that he was dead last in the NFL when it comes to D-tackle. And I'm just like, whew, all right, well, hey, listen, do I take all of the PFF rankings to heart? Maybe not. Probably not. I think this is a bunch of nerds just pushing buttons and shit. But, you do take into consideration how they grade them and who they're grading them against and this, that, and the third. So you're looking at a guy like Mozzie and you're like, oh, Christ. So the running game, the run defense was no good again. But again, they were in this game. Dak Prescott, one ball, tried to go deep to Turpin down the seam and down the left side of the field. And he got hit as he threw. So obviously it came up short. There's your safety. The issue is not because the guy got hit and, the ball falls short. Dak Prescott never sees the safety, and that's a problem now. I mean, he started his career in 2016. We're in year 8, guys. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Not year 9, guys. I had to do it all because I know I was like, nah, that's not right. He cannot misread defenses like this any longer. I think that's a huge problem. And he didn't see the safety over the top, and he was going to get either broken up anyway, but this one falls short right in the breadbasket of the safety. The second pick happens in the second half, and Dak Prescott's gone on record saying it was the big boneheaded throw. He didn't like it, blah, blah, blah. Should have never made that throw. It was a horrible throw. Horrible. Off balance. Just tried to float one in there. Ain't going to work, right? That's an NFL caliber defense. Not going to work. So that is your problem right now, is decision-making out of Dak Prescott. And I think that there's an unfortunate stigma that comes with that because of the money he's making, because of the notoriety he gets. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the critiques, because a lot of the critiques that usually come with things that he's doing on the outside of this world, of the NFL, right? They're all getting, I've seen content creators out there get nasty with the guy because he got engaged on his bye week. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? It doesn't have to do nothing with nothing. Be a compassionate human being and say, hey, man, good for you, right? And then be like, hey, listen, while you're giving out rings, can you go get us one, right? As a tongue-in-cheek joke, right? But these guys are revved up about this. And I'm like, dude, calm down. With that aspect, there are certain aspects of this guy's game that I don't know if they're going to be able to get fixed. This might be the caliber quarterback that we have. He is going to be that top, I used to say he was a top 5, top 3 quarterback in football, and I think that's changed a little bit, and I think he's probably in the top, was there 32 teams? Yeah, all right, fine. He's better half, top half of the league as far as quarterbacks. I'll give him that still. And sometimes that's okay when you have playmakers all over the place. We don't have that either. Jerry Jones goes on his weekly spot, which again, all three of us agree that I wish it just didn't exist. But the weekly spot happened, and he went out there and said that, where are we going to find these players? You tell me to get these players. Where are we going to find them? Well, today, Deontay Johnson was dished for a 5th-round pick. 5th-round pick. I'll say that again. Deontay Johnson of the Carolina Panthers, former Steeler, nasty-ass wide receiver, was traded for a 5th-round pick. The Kansas City Chiefs added DeAndre Hopkins. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens now add Johnson. The Bills add Amari Cooper. Why are these other teams so willing to add talent? Because they know they're right there. Jerry Jones also knows something. And the something is that we're not right there. We are not built for this season. We are just not. The malpractice started with not signing Derrick Henry, and now he's trying to double down and say, we don't know if he would have had the same year here as he is in Baltimore. That's probably right. But the fact is that we didn't try. We didn't pick up the phone. The Dallas Cowboys are infamous now for drafting well, and I'm not going to take that away from Will McClay and everybody who makes those decisions. We have drafted well, but the problem is once their rookie deal is up, we just go into this mode where we're just morons and we don't know what to do. Do we franchise that boy? What do we do? We extend him 2 to 3 months? I don't know. Like we just get lost in whatever situation that we're in. We get lost. We just don't know. And I say we, and it's just Jerry and Steven. That bothers me because it's just like, if me and Keith and Brett can have a conversation about who we would want, who we should try to get, even on the lesser scale. I'm not talking like, hey, man, we should go get the number one receiver in football right now, right? That's not a thing. But we're at least realistic in thinking that player acquisition is absolutely needed in order for you to get over the hump. The LA Dodgers made a couple significant trades at the deadline in baseball. Where are they right now? They're in the World Series up 3-0 on the New York Yankees, who, by the way, did not make any significant changes at the trade deadline. Therein lies your issue, because you're relying on a few guys. Like right now, we're relying on Dak, CD, the defense. When they're healthy, you rely on guys like Diggs and Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. All these guys are hurt. And if this doesn't work, what's our plan B? We have no plan B. That's the issue. You're not prepared for plan B. The most odd turn of events to start Sunday Night Football was the fact that Rico out of nowhere had the flu, and all of a sudden the following day, he's fine. The flu typically takes a couple days to just kind of run through you. You do what you got to do. You're on the ball. You're off the ball, right? All these things. All of a sudden, he's a miracle cured, and he's good to go. Therein lies my pride factor when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and that entire family, they don't want to be wrong. We've seen it time and time again. They don't want to be wrong. When they draft certain people and they really clamor and they love these guys that they're drafting, if they don't hit, they hide them. They don't get rid of them, they hide them. What Jerry Jones did wrong originally, and we all know this, it's documented, was pay Ezekiel Elliott a boatload of money as a running back when the running back market wasn't really needed, right? Or not even needed. It wasn't set the way it was set until Zeke played hardball. He's in Cancun. He's in Cabo. He's in Mexico. He's doing his thing. And Jerry finally caves like he does with everybody else. Cave with Dak, cave with CD, cave with Lawrence, cave with Dez, caved to Tony Romo. He's caved to everybody. This isn't, his poker face sucks, okay? He's not a poker player. He stinks at playing poker. The problem is they don't like to be wrong. So when they let Zeke walk out the door with all this dead cap money, they're like, what are you going to do, right? Can't afford him, can't use that pay, can't do it. So they realize that. But then 2 years later, bring him back. Right? Bring him back. Because guess what? He's already on payroll with dead money. So bring him back. What the fuck's it going to hurt? We need a running back. We lost Tony Pollard. Who are we going to replace him with? They liked Rico Dowdle, but they also liked a little veteran leadership. So bring back Ezekiel Elliott. And again, behind me to my right is a massive fat head of Ezekiel Elliott wearing 21. I've been his biggest fan, and I've yelled from the mountaintops about Ezekiel Elliott, how much I like the guy, how much he's good for Dallas, how much he's just done for the city and the team and the merchandise and the feed me and all that shit. I love Ezekiel Elliott. However, you can't bring him in to be RB1, and what they're realizing now is that he's not RB1. Did he have a decent game against San Francisco? Yeah, he did. He actually did. He played hard. He scored a touchdown, right? He's getting those hard yards. Those are the yards that we wanted him for. But by the way, here's the same time, you are now bringing up Dalvin Cook because you signed Dalvin Cook, and the fan base went nuts when you signed Dalvin Cook, but they left him on the practice squad for 7 weeks. So you bring him up. So now you are potentially going to have Rico, Dalvin, and Zeke. According to Stephen Jones, that was the plan. The plan was to go 3 running backs regardless, but because of the flu, we had to bring up Deuce Vaughn. How many reps did Deuce Vaughn get on Sunday night? I'll count. 0. The plan was not to have 3 running backs with the same style. Those guys are all the same running back. You wanted to see what you got in Dalvin, and that's fine, but the move to make was to make Zeke Elliott inactive. That's what it was. And you didn't want to do it. I understand when you didn't want to do it because it's Zeke. How does that look? The optics doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all. So that's why they did what they did. Rico's got the flu. Meanwhile, he's signing autographs, standing next to coaches. Last time I checked, we went through a fucking pandemic, right? Last time I checked, you don't want to be around anybody when you have the flu. But you can't even tell me that they went out there and, they pumped them up with medication. No, it's the flu, right? Apparently. So that's why I don't even buy that shit. But here it goes back to Jerry Jones just not wanting to be wrong. And I think that that's an issue. It's always been an issue. And now, with over $25 million in cap space right now, they still have this obsession with the cap, an obsession with staying under. Guys, you've accomplished it. You're under the fucking cap by $250 million. $25 million under. You're good. Everything's fine. And I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to backload it, not touch it, put that in the savings or put it in some kind of piggy bank because when Micah Parsons is ready to go, you got to have some extra cash for that, right? But what we're realizing is if you look around the league, and I said this on this show with these guys, and they understood it, and everybody with a brain can understand that the league is top heavy, meaning every single team does have a few guys that are making astronomical money, and the other guys underneath are either on their rookie deals or they're on some team-friendly shit, and they're all kind of gelling as one, and everything's going to be fine, right? The problem is the guys that we're relying on making all this money may not be the guys we should have paid all this money to, okay? And at the end of the day, that's when you run into problems. That's when you run into financial woes, and woe is me, and we don't have any money. Well, it's because you gave Trayvon Diggs $97 million over 5 years. It's because you gave guys like CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott their well-earned contracts, but the problem is you waited so long to do it that it took your spending, your quote, spending ability away, which it didn't. If you would have got it done early, man, Derrick Henry would be in the Dallas Cowboys uniform, and you know it. Everybody knows that. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones have this tendency to think we're fools, to think that nobody understands the business of football like they do. They made a lot of money with the Dallas Cowboys. Do not get that twisted. They are the most wealthy franchise in professional sports. They know what they're doing. When the NFL wanted Pepsi, we want Coke. When they wanted Bud Light, they wanted Miller, right? Like the Cowboys have made all the right moves as a business to make them the most profitable franchise in history, okay? Profitable franchise in history, and now we are being joined by the Grinch. Give me 1 second as I set all this up. The Grinch is joining us right now because he is also on the show, in case anybody didn't realize that. But here we go. There he is. The Grinch is in the building. Grinch, I'm going to set you up in a second. I'm just kind of trying to work around all these kinks here. I'm trying to boop, 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 get rid of that one. Here we go. And there we are. So Grinch, welcome to the program. How's everything going? How are we doing? You good?
I'm good.
All right,
I don't
good.
see me, but
You don't see you?
no.
That's not true. You're right there. There you are. So anyway, there's
I
been a
still
lot discussed already in the
I've got
first.
my school visitor badge on.
Oh, nice. Does it say Grinch or does it say Keith or Mr. Ernst?
America's dad.
America's dad. I like that. Damn, dude, I should have coined that myself. Listen, we're 18 minutes into the episode. I've ranted a lot about the inability for Jerry Jones to add players and at cost, or why we can't do what we're doing. I didn't really dissect the 49ers too much. I just said we couldn't stop the run. And the entire game I put on Dak Prescott. How do you look at that game as if you wanted to pinpoint people? Because look, the media has pinpointed a lot of things, but one thing I think is a common thing right now is that Dak Prescott made a couple bad throws that are being looked at as game-changing type shit.
Yeah. So I would say, yeah, I could agree with that. But it's exactly what my prediction was. If you go back to it, I did say that Dak Prescott does not play well against the 49ers. His last 3 games, his previous 3 games, 6 interceptions, completion percentage down, yards total down. He just doesn't play good against them. All right. The previous time, 3 times, I should say. So I was not shocked by that performance. I actually thought the defense, and I know this sounds crazy, and I know you said we can't stop the run, and they ran for 240 something yards on us. Yes, they did. But it didn't feel like they did, if that makes sense. And what I mean is they got most of their yards in the third quarter, which is crazy. They scored 21 points in the third quarter to our 0 points. So basically we won 17-9 without the third quarter. Okay. And a lot of those runs,
that's what we're going to hang our hat on.
A lot of those runs the Niners had were big chunks.
Yeah.
Because they were stopping them. And I'll tell you, the one thing I do not understand about Dak, and I don't know why he's not doing it anymore. He's not running.
Oh, well, that was
he run.
That was confirmed today. That was actually asked to Jerry Jones today on 105.3 The Fan.
Okay.
And he bluntly said, we have told Dak Prescott not to run as much because people get hurt. It's not he goes, I know. And the fans are up in arms like, oh, well, I guess it's not Dak's scared or he's been instructed not to run and use his legs as much. Now, look, if he has to tuck it and go, he'll go. They said, and Jerry said that. He's like, he'll run at when it's absolutely necessary. He'll take off and go. But like they're telling him as an investment, everybody gets hurt, whether they're young or they're old. Everybody gets hurt if they become that kind of quarterback. We're not asking him to be Lamar Jackson. We're not asking him to be any of these Russian quarterbacks that rush first, Justin Fields, guys like that. We're not asking for that. We're asking for, and Keith, you said it, and we saw it with our own two eyes, there are lanes to get yards. There are lanes there, man.
So what establishes if he has to? It's 3rd and 4. Nobody's open. He has a lane open. You have to. Like, look, he's not Tom Brady. He's not a pocket passer. I know he wants to be. He's a good pocket passer. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a fantastic pocket passer. He needs those legs. You're telling me Brock Purdy ran for 60 fucking yards against us, bro. 60 yards. Okay?
A guy who doesn't run. He don't run.
Dak can run.
I know.
And I mean, the only quarterbacks I can think off the top of my head right now that don't run as much are Stafford and probably Goff.
And Rodgers.
Yeah.
Rodgers used to scramble when he had to. It wasn't known for it, but he had the athletic ability enough to get out of there.
But he's not. And the difference between all that are 3 of those quarterbacks have been to a Super Bowl, by the way.
Fair.
Just so we can make that clear.
Fair.
But anyways, and 2 of them have won. So, but my point is with Dak though is that was an element when he took over for Romo that Romo used to have that he didn't do as much anymore. So that's what was good about getting Dak out there. Is like, oh, you never knew what he was going to do.
Right.
Now fuckface goes on the air and lets the cat out of the bag. And now everyone's going to say, hey, Dak doesn't run.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, meaning like, oh, we're not expecting it. And then, oh, he's going to bust out a couple runs against Atlanta. I don't know. But yeah, bro, it's such a business. That was
a huge part of our offense. It would have been a different game if he ran because it keeps him honest.
Just look at 2016 alone, man. Like his rookie year, bro. You never knew what this guy was going to do. And he wasn't really known for the long ball, right? And dude, look, we're at the point now where that last drive, and again, in Cowboys fashion, my father was the one who picked it out. I think it was 27-10. And he looks at me, he goes, just so you know, they're coming back and they're going to leave us hanging again. Just so you know. I said, nah, Dad, this one's going to get out of hand. This is going to be nasty. Next thing you know, little bit. And all of a sudden we're in striking. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I was like, this is their MO. And look, did the Niners dial it back a little bit? I think so. I watched the tape. I think that, the prevent was there and shit. And we found some holes and gaps, and CeeDee Lamb was fucking more open than I've ever seen him in his career twice. And I'm like, okay, now we're here, right? But now on that last drive, I said, okay, you just got to get down the field, right? Tell me why they're taking 4 shots down the field with nobody else other than CeeDee Lamb, who is a competent wide receiver at doing a certain route. But then Dak Prescott drops one in the bucket to Gavante Turpin, and he drops it. Is that not like a red flag, every flag color ever to say, hey, we need somebody else. Anybody else?
Because I mean, look, players are going to drop balls. I get that. And that was a bad drop. And I don't want to say that's why the drive died. Okay. Because there's 3 other plays that get 10 fucking yards.
Fair.
Okay. And maybe him running may have been one of them.
True.
But hey, we don't know when he's supposed to run. I don't know. I mean, maybe if someone he's in danger of his life, is that when he's supposed to run?
I guess.
Mean, I don't understand what even that means. If he has to run, you don't ever have to run in the NFL unless maybe someone's trying to kill you.
That's like
if some maniac from the crowd runs and jumps on the field with a fucking knife. Is that when Dak's going to run? Is that what he means?
I'm saying, it sounds like Jerry Jones bought a Ferrari in Dak Prescott, and when he's on the open highway and he's on that, what's that highway that's in Germany? The fucking, what's it called?
Something bomb.
Autobahn, right? The Autobahn.
Yeah.
When he's on the Autobahn, I'm gonna stretch my leg a little bit, see how much this can go, right? But if he's in traffic, that motherfucker is not driving fast, right?
Yeah.
So he's in protecting his investment in Dak Prescott. That's the problem with this business of football, and I get it. It's a business. At the end of the day, it always will be. But what I mean is, you're worried about your quarterback being hurt on any given run. We all saw what happened on 2020. It was a freak thing. Nobody's expecting to break your ankle and twist it the other way and make it this grotesque, long, drawn-out thing. Nobody's expecting that, but you can't play for that either. You can't just be like, we told them just dial it back a little bit. What are we doing?
Look, quarterbacks that have filled in for Dak, it's not like with Romo, okay? Every time Romo went down until Dak got there, they could not win a game.
Mm-mm.
They couldn't move the ball.
Mm-mm.
When Dak went down, you're talking about that ankle injury, they were 1-3 when he went down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And when Andy Dalton came in, and I think we had another, we've already went through those starters. But anyways, I think even freaking
Will Grier.
What's that?
Will Grier.
Yeah, Will Grier. I mean, these guys were moving the ball too. And when Dak went down, we all know, first game of the season against Tampa, Cooper Rush came in and went 4-1 and moved the goddamn ball. I want to win football games, okay? I'm for the Dallas Cowboys winning. If Dak cannot run the ball, and you're saying he can't run the ball because you're afraid he's going to get injured, then get him the fuck out of the game. Get him out.
I mean,
I want to see us win games. And we're not going to win games if Dak Prescott is not 100%. When I say 100%, if they're so scared that he could turn his ankle or whatever it may be, then get him the fuck out. Put Cooper Rush in. I don't care who you put in. All right. I want someone that's 100% healthy. And look, and like I said, every quarterback that has filled in for Dak has moved the ball. We have won games without Dak Prescott. We have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't understand where he's coming from with that shit. Okay? I really don't.
I'm lost.
I mean, once again, we're losing everything from time of possession. We're back to where we were before last season.
I think we're -9 in the turnover margin. -9.
Dude, to me, I'm getting this thing. To me, the craziest part of the Dallas Cowboys is the first drives. When I say first drives, not only the first drive of the first half when the game starts, but the first drive of the second half. Okay? They've only scored. This is crazy. So what is that? 14 drives, right? We've had 7 games. So opening and halftime.
Sure.
I think they've only scored like 15 points or something. Out of 14 drives, dude. That's crazy.
And where does that come from, Keith?
The opposing team, ready for this? They've scored 71 fucking points between their opening drive and their halftime starting drive. That's a score of 71-15. Now that's a big fucking issue. What's crazy is that Mike McCarthy was like, "What this game? We want the ball. Hey, we want it. Give it to us. I'm you." We had one first down and we fucking punted.
I think the days of accepting the coin, not only winning the coin toss, but accepting a kickoff and receiving the ball are gone. There's no way. You can't be. I understand the logic because it's like, if the Cowboys get up on somebody, maybe we can win the game. But if you can't score on that first drive, you're just basically telling the second half, go fuck yourself too, because we are not going to be able to get the ball. And of course, what do we say as fans? Well, it all depends on that first drive, right? And now you're coming at me with this alarming ass stat that every team is just murking us on their first drive of the second half. Dude, the problem
And
is
the first half. Yeah.
right, but I'm saying like even, when we don't get the ball and we go 3 and out to start the game, it's like, all right, whatever, let's see what we can do. But if you got it the second half, all things are held on that. You're holding your breath like, okay, can we get a stop and then get the ball because that'll change momentum? But not if we're giving up all these points, and that starts at the top. When I say the top, I mean Mike McCarthy. I know, everybody and their mother knows who watches the game of football. Those first drives are scripted. They don't give it. There's little wrinkles and shit just in case there's a sack or a penalty. But even when there's a penalty, they have a play for that. They're like, okay, if there's a holding call on the first play, this is what we'll run on second down. They have it all scripted out. So that's the problem. Your play calling is garbage, Mike. It's just not good. It's not working. So you got to put a couple wrinkles. And again, I know you make fun of me about the whole off a bye thing, but these guys had 2 fucking weeks to get prepared for the 49ers, the hampered 49ers. Like it wasn't like they were at full strength. They were down a couple pieces, okay? They were down a couple pieces. And for the fact that you didn't get ready, you didn't get your team ready for 2 weeks, that's so alarming to me.
That's why I casually called it from you when you said, "Oh, Mike McCarthy off a bye."
I know.
It means nothing. And
well, now it does. Yeah, now it does.
Yeah, but it never did. I mean, it's where the schedule landed. There's momentum. There's a lot of things.
It's just a record. It's just a record. What he was after a bye, and it just so happened to favor him. So people have that in their minds, like, oh, he knows how to get his team prepared.
Yeah, I didn't know. See, you could favor you, and it could favor everyone else. That doesn't favor me. I look at that and I say, I'm that. It's generic. But he just didn't play the right team. Okay.
It's like, hey, did anybody check to see who Mike McCarthy has played after his buys? And their winning percentage is like 300. It's like, fuck. All right, now it all makes sense.
But no, you're exactly right. I mean, that's what's shocking the most is they haven't scored 1 touchdown when getting the ball first. It's on either side. But even let's just say the beginning of the game, they have not scored 1 touch. Now everyone knows, like Sturch said, they have their first 7 to 10 plays scripted, like you said. Mm-hmm. That's why, and for people that don't understand that, this happens all the time. It happened with Tennessee against the Lions. You see that first drive where Mason Rudolph, or whatever it is, he drives all the way down there at 7-0. You're like, whoa, hey man, Tennessee might win. But then the rest of the game, they fucking suck. That's what he's describing right there. Because they know their first. It's not working.
Not only do they know it, they've practiced all week their first drive. So that in lies another issue. Are they prepared at practice? Are they not practicing hard enough? You only got 3 practice days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are your only days you can practice, and one of them is a fucking walkthrough. So you're looking at, all right, so when exactly you're supposed to execute on all this shit? Look, we can talk X's and O's all day. The 49ers game comes and goes. It doesn't look good on any surface. Dak Prescott made a lot of mistakes. The defense did not. They held their end of the bargain for the first half, and then they feel like they just didn't show up in the second half defensively. Did you, by the way, and I mentioned this before you got on, did you by any chance, when they do the Dak Prescott, Mississippi State, like the intros and the PFF rankings on the bottom?
Right.
Do you know those?
Yeah. What was he?
No, I'm not. No, the best part is we're all the numbers are shit for a lot of the Cowboys, ranked 150 out of 300. So you're like, middle of the pack, no big deal, right? Mozzie Smith's shit came up, and he was the last ranked defensive tackle in the league, bro. In the league. And I'm like, okay. And I can't think of it. You'll know it right off the top of your head. I know you will. Who was the defensive tackle that we drafted that just didn't work out a couple years back, where we kept trying to get it? Was the defensive scheme was before. It was before McCarthy. It was the older guy.
Was it Marinelli?
It was under Marinelli. Who did he draft? Defensive tackle. It just didn't work out, and then he wound up.
First round?
Who?
He was a first rounder?
Either first or second. Defensive tackle. Shit, man. It's going to drive me fucking nuts, and I know it's going to come to me.
Yeah. Not Wilbur, Kyle Wilbur.
No. This was a guy that they draft. Anybody who's listening to this on the car is probably screaming at me the answer. But
a first or second round defense. I mean, they usually do.
Didn't work. It didn't work out, and we thought that for years we're like, oh, he's got a new coach. Maybe it'll help out now, and it just doesn't. It never did. It's gonna make me fucking nuts. Oh man, defensive tackle.
This was the late 2010s.
Maybe 2020. No, it wasn't.
I
I
mean,
got it. It just jumped at me.
Who?
Ready? Mr. Tristan Hill.
Oh, UCF.
Yes, Tristan Hill
Yes, good
was
call,
one
yeah.
that they drafted. Like my favorite
Good
one of my
call.
favorite defensive tackles of all time was Antoine Woods, and I'm like, well, this guy can work out, you know. But Tristan
Yeah.
Hill was an experiment that just never panned out. Mozzie
Right.
Smith is really starting to tread into that area where it's
No,
just
for
like,
sure.
ugh, I don't know if this is ever going to fucking
sure.
work out.
So I was going to say too, though, with our defense altogether, and I know Damone Clark, by the way, we barely saw him, if you noticed.
They heard you.
I know, and I thought the linebackers played a lot better. I know they had those big runs, but like I said, there was a lot more stops
There was,
than we were used to.
and there were
You know
stops
what I
in
mean?
big moments where I was just like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah. Well, look, bro. I mean, what our defense did at the end of the game was fucking great. Held them to a field goal and then 2 3 and outs, bro.
Overshawn came flying like a bat out of hell and rocked Purdy. How Purdy held onto that football, by the way, is
I
fucking
don't know.
beyond me.
But and then Dak came in and he blew it, man. And he knows he blew it. And I think that should segue into the Atlanta game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, the Atlanta Falcons pose a threat because of the fact that Bijan Robinson is finally starting to play like Bijan Robinson, which he was touted to play like, and he's playing very well. The Atlanta Falcons, I believed the Atlanta Falcons were a quarterback away from being a very competitive football team, and all of a sudden Kyle Pitts is scoring now. Like, everything is starting to come into motion. Drake London is good. They got Mooney. Over there now in Atlanta. They have a good offense. Their defense is pretty good. They have a couple guys that can make some plays. So when you look at the Falcons coming up, they're 5-3, I believe. We're 3-4. So their bye has not happened yet, I don't think. But the Falcons are playing good football in a division that they're probably gonna win. If I had to take a stab at it, I think I picked the Falcons to win that division to start the year, and I still am riding with them. But I don't know. What do you take from this Falcons team that's coming into Dallas?
I agree.
We're going in there.
With the division part, I mean, honestly, I don't know who was going to win the division out of that division. I just knew it wasn't going to be Carolina.
Somebody's going to limp in. Like, that's how.
Yeah,
somebody's going to limp.
but I would say that they just swept the Bucs, so that's huge for them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if Carr didn't get hurt, who knows? You know, if the Saints still would have been in it. But you're right, Atlanta's probably going to run away with it. Now, you're so right, quarterback away. But what's fortunate enough for the Dallas Cowboys is that quarterback is Kirk Cousins. Okay, and we've done well against him. He's 2-9 against us. He's won once with Washington and once with the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins never beat Tony Romo, so everybody knows, ever. Okay. When he beat, I believe it was Kellen Moore that was starting quarterback. The only time he beat the Dallas Cowboys as a Washington Redskin was when Kellen Moore was our starting quarterback. Go to Dak Prescott. He never beat Dak Prescott as a Washington Commander or Redskin or whatever the fuck you want to call him. Okay. But he did beat him with Minnesota on Sunday night in Dallas for that was for when he beat us when he was on the Vikings. But then we all know what happened. We've beaten Kirk Cousins the last, I don't know how many times, 2 or 3 times while he was on the Vikings in Minnesota. So we play good against him. Now, I'm not going to pull a McCarthy and say, oh, he's great after a bye thing. But I don't know. And I do think this happens. And this is why I want to segue into this with Dak. And this was how Favre was with the Cowboys, especially when he was on the Packers. Something happens when you play certain teams. I don't know if when you see the helmet and you see it, and it just puts you in a mode where you just don't play as well. No matter how good you are against every other team, when you play this certain team, some people, they're either lights out. They have the opposite. They could be always lights out against this one team, but they suck against everyone. It's like, look at Dak against the Giants, bro. He's unreal against the Giants.
Fair.
I don't even think he's ever had a bad game against the Giants. You get what I'm saying? It's like something
Terrence Williams went out of bounds, idiot.
Something goes off in his head, but then the opposite is the 49ers.
Right.
The last 3 times, he's been fucking awful. That's how I look at Kirk Cousins with the Cowboys. I don't see Kirk Cousins having a good game. Maybe he has an average game. They're going to have to win by running the ball, okay? Which has been our Achilles heel and our weakness.
I prefer bugaboo.
Yeah. But I see, because Dak Prescott, to me, and I know people are going to be yelling at the radio, I've been arguing with people, he's still a good quarterback. Okay. He's had 2 bad games. He is not going to have a third one. He's not. And I'm telling you right now.
For the rest of the season or in a row?
I'm saying in this game.
Okay.
I'm not worried about the other games right now. I'm talking about Atlanta Falcons.
Got it.
He is not going to have a bad game this week. All right. And I think the offense moves the ball. I think we're in control most of the game. And I think we win this game. And okay. We'll be 4-4. Because look, we're not a shitty team. We're not. I don't care. We're not a shitty team. Okay. Right now, I still think we're on the edge of being mediocre. Okay. I don't know where we're going to go from there because we have beaten good teams. We've beaten the Steelers. We've beaten the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Okay. We almost pulled it off against the Niners. If we had a good Dak Prescott, we win that game. Yeah. If we had a mentally prepared Dak Prescott, we win that game. So let's just see what happens, everybody. There's 10 games left. They've added a game. They've added an extra playoff game. There's plenty of football to play. We still got to play Washington twice. We still got to play the Eagles twice. There's a lot to look forward to in this season. Let's just have some faith here. And I think that we have somewhat a confidence boost after this game. And then we start questioning once again, hey, who is this team? You know how that goes. But I think that we win this game. And like I said, and I'm not sure, I'd say 24-20, but it could be like 24-13, and then the Falcons get a garbage touchdown at the end or something like that. But I think we're in control most of the game, and we end up winning.
That deserves an air horn. That deserves all the praise. I did not see that coming out of you, bro. I did not see that coming. I think they would get the doors blown off us. To be honest. Listen, if anything, if nothing else, I think Dak will bounce back. I do. I think he'll have a better game, significantly better game than he's had. This might even be his best game statistically. Who knows, right? Like maybe. But the last time I said the Cowboys are going to put their best performance, we played Detroit, and the rest is history. So I won't pick them to win. I won't. Sure. I can't do it. I'm not. Listen, I would love, again, Brett likes to say this, I would love to be wrong. I really would. Because
I think we all believe that.
Right.
Nobody's saying, oh, Dave wants the Cowboys. Nobody's saying that.
Right. So I want to believe in this team. I want to think that things could get changed around. Yeah, Jerry said that kind of thing this week on the Fan. He said, just so you know, there's 10 games left. Like, we've had a rough start, but why not end this in a storybook fashion, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, that's great. But like, you're thinking to yourself, the only way, and guys like Michael Irvin, who are respected amongst the community in Dallas, he says that the only way the Dallas Cowboys do anything going forward in this season is if they have to make a move of some sort, whether that be address the defensive line, whether that to be get one more receiver for Dak. But all of a sudden you're looking at around the league and guys are already getting dished off. So you're just like, okay, who's left? Who's left out there to do it? I don't know. The trade deadline's in I think a week, right? So like we'll figure out if Dallas wants to be buyers or sellers. I can't see them selling off any assets. They don't really have any assets to sell off with tradable contracts, so I don't think anybody's getting moved. But like, think about it. We haven't had Cooks. I don't know. I don't even know the status of Cooks right now. Jalen Tolbert has, had his moments where you're like, oh, okay.
He's averaging 50, 60 a game.
Right.
Not that bad.
So he's not doing terrible. But again, CeeDee Lamb was force-fed last week. You saw it. Clearly, you saw it in the comeback efforts. We know this, and if you're a fantasy person like I am, I got both those guys. And I
want to bring something up too before is people. I want them to understand football real quick, okay? And football is a very violent game, as if you didn't know. There's a certain mentality you have on the field, okay? Intensity, a killer's mentality. I bring it up all the time. Hyped. Will you quit reporters going up to players when they're still in fucking pads and asking them questions?
That's not what happened.
When they haven't diffused from the game yet.
That's not what happened, Keith.
Tell me what happened.
Keith, Trayvon Diggs went into the locker room, grabbed his phone, went on to Twitter, realized somebody said something, and he said, oh, wait, I just passed that guy. I'm going to go say what's up. And then he went out before letting McCarthy or anybody address the fucking team. Diggs took it upon himself to go back out into the media circle where the guys were waiting. It wasn't like Diggs was passing him and he said, "Oh, wait, hey, Trayvon, can you tell me what you did on that play?" No.
Are you sure about that? Because I thought the guy was like, "I'm just asking you a question. I'm just asking you a question."
Because the original question was the tweet. The tweet was, "What is Trayvon Diggs doing on this play?" And all it was was.
See, I looked at it as if.
No,
I looked at it as when I saw it. I did see it was something about it too, but I thought that the guy was like asked him a question when he was walking by.
No,
and then he turned around and came after.
The question was the tweet.
My question is, why are you going on your fucking phone? How do you have your phone that like you go on your phone?
When he went out and did the whole D's nuts thing and all this other shit, he had his phone in his fucking hand. A professional athlete in the NFL has his phone in his hand. That means before what?
I'm glad we covered this.
Yeah, no, because before, listen, and we're in the media, sort of, kind of loosely, right? We are, and we've asked questions to players, and we've had Jesse Holly on, and like we've had guys that have come on here and shot straight with us. This was a very inappropriate, immature thing, and my tweet response to this was the next day. I said, "Man, I can't believe Dak Prescott went on Twitter, found out that we were talking shit, came out of the locker room and started talking shit to a reporter. I can't believe he did that." And I said, "Oh, wait, Dak Prescott didn't do that? Oh, wait, because he's a grown-ass fucking man and he wouldn't do that?" That's the issue, Keith. These guys are young. They have this Gen Z fucking 23, 25-year-old mentality where you think, "Hey, say that to my face." First of all, man, you're in the league. You are in the NFL, bro. You are in the NFL. You cannot have this thin skin as a fucking millionaire. You can't. You have to just fucking just nut up, right? You talk about these nuts, get your nuts, bro, and just fucking relax. People are going to talk their shit. That's the NFL. Welcome to the league, kid, right? That's it. You can't just go chasing down reporters. You can't go chasing down reporters because he said, "What are you doing?" So that's like if I was there on like a fan tour and he sees my face, he's like, "Wait a minute. That's that motherfucker who said I wasn't trying." And look.
And the thing is, though, breaking down that play, that's called a pursuit angle. And the only times you use a pursuit angle is when the player's faster than you.
And you're the last line of defense.
Or if you're way behind. He wasn't either.
Right. Because he was jogging.
It makes no sense what he was doing. He should have shot the gap and took that motherfucker out.
He was jogging, and the effort thing has been brought up again. And Micah and Trayvon went on their podcast and said, they basically talked about it a little bit. And I was just like, man, I can't even listen to this shit, because at the end of the day, what we do know of the whole entire situation is that some player went to the locker room first, grabbed their phone to probably check their text to see if they heard from their mom, their dad, their whoever else, right? But people are probably blowing up his phone saying, "Yo, you hear what this guy said? You hear what this guy said?" And all of a sudden he checked it, saw it, walked back out of the locker room and found this guy to talk to him. That's immaturity. And even Mike McCarthy said, "Look, these guys they're kids. They're kids, and it's unfortunate. It's not the way you're supposed to carry yourself, not as a Cowboy specifically, but you gotta be able to bring that down a little bit." And again, I've been his biggest critic lately. I question his effort, not his skill, not his fucking, his I can't believe he took the wrong angle on that fucking pass. No, effort. That's all I want to see out of these guys is effort, right? So that's that. Whatever. That the Trayvon Diggs shit
is another thing, dude. And I brought that up, and I thought I did see him a couple times trying to come up and make a tackle.
Listen, he actually had a better game when it came to physicality.
Maybe he's scared about his injury too, man. That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
But if that's the case, he shouldn't be in the fucking game.
Well, that's the thing, man. And again, you're guaranteed all this money, but you got to be on the field to do it, right? So you got to get a game check. You got to be out there. So I guess there's a lot to do with it, and it's a business at the end of the day, like we've been saying and we preach. But it is what it is. Anyway, look, you got the Falcons winning the game. You got the Cowboys winning the game. I got the Falcons probably narrowing this one and making us 3-5. We got a brutal schedule coming up. It's going to be tough. It gets tougher as we go. But Keith is the one with the optimism, man. Usually he's the Grinch.
I'll say the key to winning is jumping ahead of them where they're not going to run anymore, and they're going to try to keep using Kirk Cousins.
And that's fine.
The key. That's the key to winning this game.
They have in order for the Cowboys to win this game, they have to generate pressure by sending no more than 5. No more than 5. Like, so your forefront, do it, right? And if you want to send Overshawn or you want to send one of these guys off the edge, great. You send more than that, they'll pick you apart, and you can't do that. You can't do that. Not with the secondary that we have trotting out there this week. No way. We'll find out more tomorrow as practice comes on. Is Bland back? Is Micah back? We don't know. We'll figure that out as we get there. But this was a abbreviated 50-minute. We usually go an hour, but there are dad duties ahead. Have to go figure those things out. But listen, it'll be a dogfight. It is a 1 o'clock start, which typically the Cowboys don't really get up for 1 o'clock starts, but we'll see. But yeah, Cowboys have a shot to get back to 500, shut some people up for at least a week with a get-right game here. And I say get-right, it's not like, the get-right games usually come when the teams that you're playing are like 0-7. And you're like, okay, get right here because they stink. Get right here because we know there's more in the tank for guys like Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and the running back situation. We'll figure all that out as we go. So for Dave Sturchio and Keith Ernst, this has been another episode of the Jersey Boys Podcast. We will see you guys next week. Let's go Cowboys.
Hey, this is Tony Soprano, and you're listening to Jersey Boys Podcast with your hosts, Dave Sturchio and the Ernst Boys. I mean, I could give a shit about the Cowboys. We're in New Jersey. These guys got balls being Cowboys fans in Jersey. Anyways, enjoy. Whatever.
How about them Cowboys?